Oh my, what is this video about? Oh, it's going to be an opening. Oh, better than an opening. It's a wow opening. I'm sort of making fun of the people that they buy stuff and then they open it on camera. And when they're opening it, they have no idea what they're looking at. I always thought that was funny, you know. And of course, the video would be recommended to me. Well, what is in here? Oh, wow. A precision oiler. Okay. Now, what a precision oiler is for, I will show you in the second part of this video. All right, that's it for this part. If you're lubricating a BC348 or other command radios, you're going to need both grease and oil. Now, normally, the units, the BC348 or the command radios, they use grease. But you're coming in after it's been assembled, and in a lot of places, you just want to get a little oil down into certain places to get it working or free it up again. And they all have multi-section capacitors like this. Okay? Now, when you look in the end from the shaft on the units that are in the command radios, now you'll see ball bearings in there. And one simple drop of oil in there. Go along in here, you put one behind there, where more ball bearings are, each pivot point or bushing. Okay, so hopefully I'm still in the frame, and then one in the back. Of course, in the radio, this is mounted, so it's nice to have something, a precision oiler, and that's what I went and bought. Precision oiler. You unscrew this here, and there's your tip, and that's where the oil comes out of. All right. Now, back here, you unscrew the back and you put your favorite oil in there. Okay? It's a precision oiler. Now, a lot of you are not going to have a precision oiler, but you might have the correct oil that you want to use. Now, in this case, this is bicycling oil. It's Schwinn. Okay? It's clear. All right? And this is Super Lube. These are the ones I use. This is my grease. This is what I use for oil. Now I want to show you how I've oiled things over the years. One drop of oil. You get one drop of oil in the right place, and the problem is solved. Okay. Some people, they like to put a lot of oil on something and then wipe it down, wipe off the excess, or use like a little syringe to pull off the excess. There's many different oils, there's many different greases, but what I did was I showed you, I bought myself a precision oiler because I got tired of doing the toothpick trick. Here's a toothpick, okay? And I just did this video before, and the stupid camera decided it didn't want to focus. Okay, now it seems to be, maybe not, well, okay. You take your motorcycle oil, your car, you can use motor oil from a car, and you put a drop of oil. Let's turn this way. Okay. Nope, it's making it disappear. Yeah, I love this camera. I just love it to death. Okay, this is how I used to do things. You take a drop of oil, and you put it on the tip of there it is, there's a drop of oil on there. You have to trust me on this. Now, if you use a wooden toothpick, I can't tell if it's in focus. So anyway, if you use a wooden toothpick, the oil likes to stay on it better versus, say you use a piece of steel, okay? And use a piece of paper below. I don't know if you can see the drops have fallen. You know, you get a little sloppy. But in other words, you now take your unit, and your unit's going to be sitting in the radio, and you drop, let's see if I can do this. You drop your oil right in there. You might use more than one drop. You might come in through the back, whatever you think. But in other words, most of these tuning capacitors were greased originally. If you think you can get some grease in there, fine. Try some grease in there. But the oil works better because when you move this back and forth a few times, the oil dissipates. It's just a matter of experience, what you want to put in there. But the reason I'm telling you about oiling the BC348 is you can get one from somebody who sprayed WD-40 down in it. They loosened it all up. They shipped it off to you. And as you're using it, you notice the band spread, not the band spread, the main tuning is starting to get tighter and tighter and tighter. And the same with the command radios. They ship it to you, and it starts to get tighter, and then it binds up. And then you got to take the radio all apart and oil it. Okay? Now, if you get like a, when you're cranking the dial tuning, or you're turning it, and every revolution there's like a clunk in it. All right, that clunk is caused by the radio was dropped and the shaft is bent, or you got some sawdust sitting in the grease, a piece of solder, a piece of stripped wire. Over the years, I found all kinds of things, even a staple one time. I had a gear system that was locked up, bought the radio from someone, and I kept looking at it, it wouldn't move, and I don't go forcing anything. And then I looked, and there was a staple. The staple had been stapled into something, both ends were folded over. That's what was down in the gear. And I had to work the gears apart from the shafts and get that staple out. I think that's it for this section. Then we're going to go on to actually the BC348. There's a few things I want to show you. All right, I've gone back and made this insert for this video. I want to show you the precision oil working. You may notice my fingernails are cut, and you're like, how could they be long, then cut, then long? That's because this is part of the video that's being inserted. Now, as I've been lubricating and cleaning the BC348, I have a bent shaft on the main tuning shaft, and I'm not taking it apart. As you turn it, it sort of binds in one spot. Lubricating helped, but that's what you get off eBay. Okay, that's all I want to say. Now, hopefully the camera stays focused. All right, I think it looks focused. You know, you unscrew this top, you put your oil in there, you undo this. I just wanted to show you how it works. Now, look, watch this tip if it's in focus. And my hand can hold this steady enough. As you push down on the plunger on the back, okay, this thing comes out, almost like a leaded pencil, a mechanical pencil. We press it down. See it there? Hopefully you see it. Now when it goes back in, it leaves a drop of oil. Okay? That's why they call it a precision oiler. And it's a smaller drop than the toothpick method. That's all I wanted to add in there. You know, after I got the video edited and took like an hour to compile it, I started realizing someone's going to say, yeah, you know, it would have been nice if he showed them the precision oiler working. You know, see, as I do a video, I try to pre-guess the idiots. Okay? Now, I just wanted to tell you to use a precision oiler. I wanted to show you the toothpick method. All right? I wanted to tell you you're going to need both oil and grease to do a BC348. Why you're going to do it, because it's going to eventually bind up on you. I also wanted to show you those knobs that have that slip clutch thing underneath them. So when you take the knob off, or if you should have trouble taking the knob off, I gave you the information on how to get those set screws out. See, I put a lot into the video. Okay, but it's really just for someone that's got a BC348 and has actually challenged themselves to get it working and right, because most people buy one, you know, they look at it, they realize they can't build a power supply, and then in their mind they're going to get to it. It's like the guys that bring the cars home. It's the same thing. They brought 20, 30 cars home and none of them get worked on. They don't have the money to work on them, but they have money to buy another one. And it's very common. It's the type of hoarding. If you watch Counting Cars, he'll tell you how much of an addiction it is. But he has a crew. He makes money. He actually works on the cars. He actually finishes them. And all hobbies go the same way. I stay with something and it becomes extremely painful. This video has been so annoying. I'll do the compiling of the video, and Windows will just go to Never Never Land, and it'll produce a 0-byte file. And you're like, what just happened? You know, a half hour into compiling the video, it just goes to Never Never Land. And I'm like, thanks. You know, and then you start it all over again. And then you got to watch very carefully, because when it went to Never Never Land, it took one of the segments out randomly. So you compile the video, and then all of a sudden you notice it's missing one of the segments. Okay, that's what I'm going through to do this video. And this video is so limited to the people that actually will need this information. That's the way it is. That's it for this inserted segment. I've done this part of the video so many times. I keep screwing it up. The camera keeps going out of focus. It just, at one point a neighbor had a lawnmower going outside. It was making me crazy. But I just want to remind you that these knobs on this BC348 are aluminum with steel set screws. And over the years, the aluminum oxidizes and traps the set screw. So removing the set screw could become a problem. So what I recommend is, if you're going to remove the knobs, turn the knob, the set screw, in an pointing up direction. Whether you have to flip the radio upside down, put it on its side, but you turn the knob so the set screw is facing up. Then you drop some penetrating oil or some oil down into the set screw and let it sit overnight. Also make sure your Allen key is brand new. You don't want to round over one of those set screws. Okay, very important. The other trick too is you can stick a soldering iron in through the hole and heat up the set screw, and that might help you. Okay, but you got to have the oil on the set screw, so the moment it cracks loose, more lubricant or oil then goes down further on the set screw. So when you do get it loose, it will come out. See, if you use it dry, using heat, what happens is the set screw might move a little bit and then get trapped even worse. So you got to use a combination of oil, or penetrating oil, and heat in some worst cases. In the real bad cases, I showed you one time, I took a slitting tool, put it on a Dremel, and I cut the knob. I took it off. But what I want to show you is some of the set screws, some of the knobs have 2 set screws, and some of them don't. And it's very confusing. But here's the mechanism. Let's see if we got the, oh, it's showing it correctly. Okay. You take the knob off and you're like, what is this? And these arms have pads on them. And they go on the they rub on the inside of the knob. And this knob, when you do get it off, it's going to have old grease inside. It's going to look like dead animals, dead bugs, tobacco, all kinds of weird things. And what it is, it's maybe a vegetable-based grease at one time, and it's over the years it biodegraded into I don't know what. But in other words, you're like, how did that stuff get under there? But that's what it is. If you look at the knob after you clean it, you can see, yeah, my nails are long. I keep forgetting to cut them. It's pretty funny stuff. Anyway, the inside of the knob, you'll see a track. And that's because that's an anti-vibration thing. And when the plane is on the aircraft, when the radio is on the aircraft, any vibration will keep this knob from moving and changing the setting, because this is the BFO knob. Also put a drop of oil right here. You want it to go down in the flexible shaft. Some of the radios have a flexible shaft that go down into the coil. Okay, we got that covered. That's what that mechanism is. And some of them you'll get there. Someone squeezed it in because it was dragging. But you're supposed to grease this, and it'll allow you to turn the knob to where you want it, but then it won't vibrate out. That's all it's for. Okay, now the other knob. I can't believe I put this back on. See, I'm going screwy with this. All right, let's take this knob off. All right, this main tuning knob may have 2 set screws, so be careful when you're undoing one. You might still have one that's tight. You're going crazy trying to get the knob off. On this, you'll find a felt pad, and this felt pad keeps dust from getting inside on the mechanisms. See, there's people that operate these radios with the cover off. All right, it's designed to be operated with the cover on. That prevents the oscillator from drilling. Likewise, the people that drilled holes into radios so they'll run cooler screwed up the whole idea of the radio reaching a certain temperature and being stable. Okay, it's funny stuff. I'm just learning about people more than I knew before. Realizing that you try to explain to people why not to do something, and they have their reasons and they still do it. And one of the videos I mentioned, you can't fix stupid. Okay, and that's what I'm realizing. And a lot of the things I've done in my lifetime, I realized were a waste of time. I spent my time helping people that I shouldn't have wasted my time with, because they automatically undo what you tried to do for them. It's just the way they roll. Okay, so that's about it for this section. I'm going to the final, and hopefully everything stayed focused. All right, you're looking at the belly of the beast. You see that worm gear? Let me make it move. Hopefully it doesn't make the camera go out of focus. Okay, when you turn this worm gear, all right, it turns the gear right behind it. It's a split gear. It's got two pancaked gears with a spring on it, and they're preset apart from each other, and they're an anti-backlash gear. There's also one down below which runs off that shaft, and it works the tuning capacitor. And I'm pretty sure in this video I showed you a tuning capacitor, where to oil it, but this is the belly of the beast, and there's a vertical shaft in there that needs to be oiled, and you want to turn the radio in this position to oil that vertical shaft where it goes through those 2 bushings. Okay, now as far as the grease goes, you want to get a really clean cloth, a low lint cloth, and wipe off all the old grease. And you may have like a rough spot. As you turn in the main tuning, you might find in one spot, in 180 degrees or 360 degrees turn, there's one spot where it gets tight. Now what that can be is, it could be on the worm gear, there could be sawdust mixed in with the grease, dust mixed in with the grease, could be a speck of solder mixed in with the grease. There are other things, a piece of wire that's been stripped. I found everything. I even found one time on a gear train a staple. Okay, so the first thing you want to do on a BC348 is to clean and oil all the mechanisms. When you turn the dial, if it's too tight, you got to get off the old grease, put on the new grease, re-oil it, then troubleshoot it. Don't go taking this mechanism apart, because those split gears are pre-set for a certain amount of tension, and when you take it apart, I can't tell you, is the preset 2 teeth, 1 tooth, 2 teeth, 3 teeth. Okay, might be in the manual, might not be in the manual, but I'm warning you, just clean and oil. And anytime you get like a spot where it's tight, look for grease that's really old, not oxidation, varnishing of the grease. Also, there could be a bent shaft. Okay, these radios were treated very poorly by people. All right, but take your time. You know, I showed you the trick with the toothpick to get that drop oil in the right spot, and you could also put extra oil in and then use a cloth to take off the excess. There's many ways to create. I was just showing you the way I did it, and I've done this video so many times I'm losing my freaking mind. This section, if I point to anything, any of the gears in there, the camera is going to go out of focus, slightly out of focus, okay? Just enough where when I'm watching the video and checking it out, it really makes me crazy. But those two gears that are laying horizontally, they're not worm gears, they're the ones that made up. It's a worm gear and there's a worm gear and a gear, worm gear and worm. There's actually names for both those gears. And the two gears that are laying horizontally, they're both split gears. They're two gears pancaked together, and there's a spring. When you look in there, look it over, and you'll see that that gets rid of the backlash. Okay, it's a trick that they've been using for years on radios, and the better radios use anti-backlash gears. Okay, and that's so when you move this worm gear tiny bit, all right, everything moves with it. There's no hesitation. There's no where you keep moving the knob a little further, then it moves. It's not like the cheap radios that use a dial cord. This is the kind of radio you really want. And this is one of the better radios, okay? There are Collins radios that are better than this one, but in its day, still in its time, this radio is a really good one compared to the older tube radios. Okay, the downside is you got to recap it. You got to build a power supply. All right, and then you got to avoid gutting it like they tell you. Take out the audio transformer and put this other one in there. And no, just use a filament transformer in there to give your impedance match to your speaker. That comes off the headphone jack. Make yourself a power supply. Remember, the power supply, high voltage minus, does not go to ground. Remember everything I told you. And I know this video will probably get 20 views. And as I'm having trouble doing this video, I stopped, take a break, and I look, and they recommended a woman's video. She's trying a puzzle for the second time. She couldn't finish the puzzle the first time. It was too hard for her. And now she's doing a video about it. And she's got 515,000 views. And I work my butt off. I get totally frustrated. All this for 20 views, okay? The world is not fair, okay? But I just wanted to explain to you what a precision oiler is, and then to use the toothpick trick. And they use oil and or grease on these. What's underneath some of the knobs on the radio, that what do you call them? Basically a clutch, slip clutch of sorts. The tricks to get the set screws to come out. That's what this video is about. This video is for someone that actually bought one of these and is actually having problems. And hopefully I've solved some of your problems with my videos. The power supply, the alignment one. You know, keep it simple. Don't bodge the radio. You know, a lot of these radios are sitting in a cellar somewhere because someone did something stupid to them. Okay? Like the people that drill the holes in them. And then they want an extra $150 because, oh, they made it so much better. No, they didn't. Okay? And one copies, another person copies, another person copies it. So a bad idea, a lot of them were put in little booklets. Those bad ideas went ripping through the military surplus market. I collect those. I have most of the articles in different magazines, and I sit there and I read it and I go, why did they do this? And then the voice in my head says, they got an article published. You got articles published. Yeah, my articles were how to take a circuit board that's already in the computer and then plug up a module into it, or a header board, and then you could do all kinds of experiments. And then when you unplug the header, The computer is back the way it was. There's no soldering involved to the computer. That's the way I work with everything. In other words, I think the Creo for doctors is do no harm to the patient or something like that. In other words, you only try something that you're pretty sure won't kill the patient. And the same with these radios. But other people, you just, drill holes here. I put those holes in. They're evenly spaced. They look good. Unfortunately, the heat comes out of the radio. The radio continues to drift because the temperature never stabilizes. I think that's it. All right, that's it.